So I'm going to be reading today John chapter 8, verses 4 through 11. And it's kind of long, so we're just going to get right into it. It starts off by saying, "Teacher," they said to him, "this woman was caught in the act of committing adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such woman. So what do you say?" They asked this to trap Jesus, in order they might have evidence to accuse him. Jesus stooped down and started writing on the ground with his finger. When they persisted in questioning him, he stood up and said to them, "The one without sin among you should be the first to throw the stone at her." Then he stooped down again and continued writing on the ground. When they heard this, they left one by one, starting with the older men, until only Jesus was left in the center with the woman. And he walked up to the woman and said, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, Lord," she answered. "Well, neither do I condemn you. Go and from now on and do not sin. Sin no more." All right, so when I'm reading this, I'm thinking, how did they find Jesus? How did they know where he was? How did they know where he was at? Well, Jesus was at his temple at the Festival of Light in celebration of a military victory over the Egyptians and Greeks. And all of the followers of Jesus are there with him. It's a very happy times. And then these people known as the Pharisees and scribes bring in this woman, crash Jesus' festival, and bring this woman and drop her in the middle and call out Jesus and say, Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. And in the law of Moses, we're supposed to stone such woman. So what do you say? And you have to understand that they're not really asking for help. They are, as it says it right here, they ask this to trap Jesus in order they might have evidence to accuse Jesus of stoning a woman right there. And so at this moment, all eyes are on Jesus, and they're like, "What are you going to do?" Well, Jesus, being as cool as he is, takes a kneel down and starts drawing on the ground. And before I move on, I thought that was pretty unique, and I went into really deep discussion with Mike Pauley. We all know Mike Pauley. And we ended up, talking about it, and he ended up telling me that, okay, Jesus could have wrote anything in the ground, but some people believe he wrote one of two things. One of them being Exodus 20:14, which is, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Or some people believe that he wrote the name of the man in the dirt, because to be caught in adultery, it takes two. And during this whole deal here, I don't ever hear about the man being in here. So this is already, Jesus already sniffing this out, already kind of knowing the situation at hand, right? And so he's drawing on the ground, and then they keep asking him questions like, "Jesus, this woman was really caught in the act of adultery. In the law of Moses, we're supposed to stone her, and you're writing in the ground?" And then he gets up and says, "Okay, the one without sin among you should be the first to throw a stone at her." So the one who has lived a perfect, sinless life, you can go ahead and cast the first stone. And this is huge because now, one by one, everybody steps out until it's only Jesus left in the center with the woman. And he walks up and he says, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And not really asking "Hey, where are they?" No, he knows everybody there was just as guilty as her. So he's basically saying, "Look, I'm Jesus and I forgive you. Go and sin no more." And you have to understand that it's not okay to sin for sin's sake. Jesus didn't say it was okay to commit adultery. Jesus knew she committed this act, pronounced her guilty, and yet showed her love, forgiveness, and most importantly, mercy. Because who are we to pick up that first stone and throw it? Understand that Jesus loves the sinner, but not the sin. And this falls into the message that Jesus is telling us, that you should transform yourself from a stone thrower into a loving and forgiving person, because that's what Jesus did, and we should strive to live more like Jesus every day. Thank you.